the Korean conflict. The North Korea-South Korea conflict, often referred to as the Korean conflict, is a complex and enduring geopolitical issue that has shaped the modern history of the Korean Peninsula and the wider world. The Korean Peninsula has a long and rich history, with a distinct cultural and ethnic identity. For centuries, it was ruled by various dynasties and kingdoms, experiencing periods of both unity and division. However, the 20th century marked a pivotal period for Korea, as it became the focal point of global politics and the epicenter of the conflict between superpowers. At the end of World War II in 1945, Korea was liberated from Japanese colonial rule. The Allied powers, primarily the United States and the Soviet Union, agreed to temporarily divide the peninsula along the 38th parallel, with the Soviets occupying the north and the Americans occupying the south. This division was intended to be a temporary measure to oversee the surrender of Japanese forces. The division, however, deepened as the Cold War intensified. The Soviets established a communist government in the northern part of Korea under the leadership of Kim Il-sung, while the Americans supported the establishment of a separate government in the south, initially led by Syngman Rhee. In 1948, this division became formalized with the establishment of two separate Korean states: the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, North Korea, and the Republic of Korea, South Korea. The Korean War, 1950 to 1953, was a significant turning point in the conflict's history. North Korea, with the backing of the Soviet Union and China, launched a surprise invasion of South Korea. The war, which began as a civil conflict, quickly escalated into an international conflict. The United Nations, led by the United States, intervened on behalf of South Korea. After 3 years of intense fighting, the war ended in an armistice in 1953, not a formal peace treaty. The Korean Peninsula remained divided along the 38th parallel, with the Korean Demilitarized Zone, DMZ, acting as a buffer zone between the two Koreas. The armistice left both sides technically at war, and it has remained in this state ever since. The armistice was supposed to be a temporary measure until a permanent peace agreement could be reached. But negotiations towards a peace treaty have been stalled for decades. The division of the Korean Peninsula has led to vastly different political, economic, and social developments in North and South Korea. North Korea adopted a rigid communist system under Kim Il-sung and his successors, leading to a highly centralized regime with strict control over all aspects of society. The country's isolation and self-reliance ideology, called Yuche, have led to economic stagnation and widespread human rights abuses. In contrast, South Korea, under the leadership of Syngman Rhee and later Park Chung-hee, adopted a capitalist system, embraced democracy, and experienced remarkable economic growth. It transitioned from a war-torn, impoverished nation into one of the world's major economic and technological powerhouses, known for its Miracle on the Han River. The ideological and political divisions between the two Koreas have persisted for decades, leading to sporadic incidents of violence and hostility, such as the 1968 USS Pueblo incident, the 1976 axe murder incident in the DMZ, and naval clashes in the Yellow Sea. The most notable confrontation was the 2010 sinking of the South Korean naval ship Cheonan, which was attributed to a North Korean torpedo attack, resulting in the death of 46 South Korean sailors. The quest for reunification has been a recurring theme in Korean politics. Both North and South Korea officially maintain a policy of reunification, but they have different visions for how it should be achieved. North Korea seeks reunification under its terms, often emphasizing self-reliance and portraying the South as a puppet of foreign powers. South Korea, on the other hand, envisions a peaceful reunification based on democratic principles and market-oriented economic integration. Efforts to engage diplomatically have been made throughout the decades, with varying degrees of success. The most notable diplomatic initiatives include the Sunshine Policy pursued by South Korean President Kim Dae-jung in the late 1990s and early 2000s, which aimed to improve inter-Korean relations through economic cooperation and cultural exchanges. This led to the historic Inter-Korean Summit in 2000. However, progress was slow and inconsistent, and the policy was largely abandoned by subsequent South Korean governments. In recent years, there have been significant developments in inter-Korean relations and North Korea's interactions with the international community. In 2018, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un engaged in a series of summits with South Korean President Moon Jae-in and U.S. President Donald Trump. These summits generated optimism for denuclearization and a peace agreement. However, progress has been limited, and negotiations have stalled over disagreements regarding denuclearization steps and sanctions relief. North Korea's nuclear and missile programs remain a central issue in the conflict. The country's pursuit of nuclear weapons has led to international sanctions and increased tensions. North Korea's possession of nuclear weapons is seen as a threat to regional and global security, making the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula a critical goal. The conflict has global implications as it involves major powers like the United States, China, and Russia. The United States has a strong military presence in South Korea and has maintained a policy of extended deterrence, assuring South Korea of its security through its nuclear umbrella. China, North Korea's closest ally and trading partner, plays a crucial role in influencing North Korean behavior. Russia has historically been involved in Korean affairs and has a shared border with North Korea. In summary, the North Korea-South Korea conflict is a complex, multifaceted issue with deep historical roots shaped by the geopolitics of the Cold War. The division of the Korean Peninsula into North and South Korea after World War II, followed by the Korean War, has resulted in vastly different political and economic systems on each side. Despite diplomatic efforts and periods of engagement, the conflict remains unresolved, with issues such as reunification, denuclearization, and peace on the agenda. The presence of nuclear weapons in North Korea and the involvement of major powers make the situation a global concern. Achieving a lasting peace on the Korean Peninsula remains one of the most significant challenges in international relations today. Thanks for watching. For more interesting videos, please like and subscribe.